So the Microsoft Surface Fall Hardware event has just happened. We live streamed it on this channel. If you missed it, you missed out on some fun because there were literally hundreds and hundreds of us in the chat having some good, fun conversations. But if you did miss it and you want to know what happened in this event, I've got you covered here because we're going to go over it in this video. And it's going to be probably a quick video because there's really not a whole lot to say. So here is my Microsoft Fall Surface event thread on Twitter. So the first thing that they announced is the new Surface Laptop 5. Now this is a very small refresh. As I enlarge this image, you can probably tell that it looks very, very similar to the last Surface Laptop 4. The big differences here are basically internally speaking. There's a 13.5 inch and a 15-inch configuration starting at $1,000 and $1,200 respectively. Now, one big change with those internals is that you don't have an AMD option anymore. Instead, now it's all going to be based on Intel's Evo platform. So it's a 12th gen CPU, Thunderbolt 4, Wi-Fi 6, 32 gigs of RAM, and 1 gig of storage. For those of you that wanted to use a Ryzen chip, I'm sorry, that is not going to be a thing that's going to be a thing you can do anymore. It is now Intel Evo or nothing at all. We then moved on to the Surface Pro 9, and last year the Surface Pro line got a really big refresh. The bezels got much smaller. Basically, they took the chassis of the Surface Pro X and said, let's make that the Surface Pro 8, and that's what it looked like, and that was very, very good. Well, this year, nothing really is changing there, although the biggest difference is no mention of a Surface Pro X, because it appears if you want an ARM-based Surface Pro device, you're just going to buy the Surface Pro 9 and tick the box that says SQ3 processor, because that's the ARM variant. It is now one unified line. Pretty interesting to see there. The ARM has grown enough that now there's no need to have it be its own separate thing. Internally, same as usual, 12th gen Intel chips, 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte of storage. And if you want to get this thing, you're going to start at $999 for the Core i5 model, no i3 offer. That gives you 8 gigs of RAM, 128 storage. If you want 5G, you're going to be starting at $1,300. So you're going to spend an extra $300 to get that 5G connectivity. That's a little bit of a pain, but it is what it is. And then lastly, we talked about the Surface Studio 2 Plus. Notice this is not a 3. Despite the fact that it's been 4 years since we've gotten the new Surface Studio, this is not a proper successor. This is simply an upgrade. It looks identical, but now we're jumping up to 11th gen hardware. So an 11th gen CPU and an RTX 3060. You could do some gaming on this thing if you wanted to do that. The i7 model is apparently 50% faster than the model before. 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD for $4,500 is what it says on Microsoft.com. All of this stuff is available for pre-order with shipping dates later on. I'll drop a link to the Microsoft store down below, which is not an affiliate link because that's not a thing that I'm able to do with Microsoft. Notably, though, the biggest thing that wasn't mentioned was Surface Duo. We were all kind of hoping against hope that 12L, Android 12L, the new big update coming for Surface Duo, would be mentioned at this event, but it was not. Now, Duo was visibly seen at least twice, maybe 3 times if I'm remembering correctly, but they never actually spoke about it. It was just kind of in the background or just kind of around while things were being said. However, and I'm sure more of this stuff is going to come out as soon as I click publish on this video, while Duo was not shown during the event, it was shown to people physically at the event. And yes, Android 12L is real. Here is a tweet from Daniel Rubino, Android 12L on Surface Duo, and the things we've been talking about, the Windows aesthetic, the Fluent UI is present here. Let's look at some of these images. This is your settings, and look at the icons. The icons are different. The look is different as well. Let's actually kind of show you guys what it looks like now. I'll try to jump back and forth here, but as you can see, this is a very big difference. We'll scroll down to about the same spot so that you can see the icons are very, very different than how they're going to look here in the very near future, as well as I don't think that it's as rounded. Yeah, the corners are definitely more rounded, as you can see there in that image. So that's a pretty big change to the settings. Let's jump to the next image here, and you can see this is the far left panel where you have your widgets. And this is also something that is very, very different to look at. Let's look at the difference here. We don't have the same blurs, the same general look. This really does look like Windows 11 here, and that's the idea. It is a Windows 11 look, the Fluent design for Surface Duo. The color palette, this is cool as well. I wish there were more accent colors. It looks like just 4 accent colors. Maybe there's wallpaper theming. Not sure exactly how that's going to work, but color palettes are there. You're going to be able to change the accent colors on the device on your quick settings. And I think he has a picture, yes, of the quick settings as well as the actual settings themselves. And this also looks very, very different. Let's pull down my quick settings here. And you can see that the new version is a very strong Windows look. And you can see as well how these icons down here have changed. You can actually see the full date, T-Mobile, and your icons are all over here as well. I think that is not how mine behaves at all. Let me open it up and make sure when it's in book mode. Yeah, that's definitely not what happens. I only have the clock on that one side. So several big changes here already visible. And I'm sure that there will be write-ups on this. Hopefully Daniel has something to say specifically about this over the next day or so. And if more information comes out, I will be sure to bring it to you guys. Now, a couple other things that were really interesting to me in this event is the integration with DALL-E, which is basically, if you don't know, you go to this website and you punch in some text and AI generates an image based on that text. They did this really neat demo where they used DALL-E to create a background for an image for a sort of a presentation. And that stuff is very, very cool to see. Really surprising to see Microsoft adopting AI in that regard so very quickly. Neural processing units were called out a lot. If you don't know what that means, in your phone, when you take a picture, there is an NPU that basically sharpens and applies all these filters and does all this algorithmic magic to your photography. That is being done with an NPU, where your computer almost certainly does not have an NPU. But as we move further and further towards the future of AI-driven things like DALL-E, like these AI-generated imagery, NPUs are going to be really important. Now, Microsoft believes a lot of this AI stuff will be done in the cloud, but you need it to be done locally too. They called it a teammate or a partner, basically. So you've got your hardware locally pretty good at AI, and they gave a good example here with the Surface Pro 9, where they were doing a video call, and they were using their NPU to filter out audio. They did a demo where someone with a hairdryer, and you could not hear that hairdryer at all. That is the NPU at work. So it's there locally, and then it can also be paired with the cloud computing stuff to really drive some AI experiences that might be really, really interesting to see. So those are kind of the biggest things mentioned at this Surface Fall hardware event. If you want to see the entire event, you can rewatch the whole live stream on my channel. I'll link to it below as well if you want to just watch the whole thing, and even rewatch the chat play if you want to do that and maybe feel like you were there and delete that FOMO feeling. Guys, if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I will see you on the next one, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friend.